Welcome back. I'm Ken Hardman.
And I am Verena Hartman. Before we begin this video, we would like to say something about ourselves. We have been married more than 40 years and have a healthy marriage. When we became parents, we hoped that when our children became adults, they would form and develop healthy marriages and families. Therefore, we became serious lifelong students of individual marriage and family development. We have done our best, like other parents, to develop traditions and a knowledge base that our children and future generations could build upon to become better together.
In our book, A Better Way to Marry, and in our videos, we distill and share many lessons that we have learned. One lesson's clear. Choosing a lifelong marriage partner is the most difficult, complex, and consequential decision an adult will make. Avoiding critical factors central to that decision compromises a wise and well-informed decision. It compromises developing a genuine relationship of trust.
In this video, we shine a spotlight on the pink elephant in the room that two single adults typically avoid when beginning to explore the possibility of marriage with one another. If you are single and are exploring the possibility with someone to become marriage partners, we hope you will not avoid talking about that elephant. If you are a parent, we hope you will advise them to talk about the elephant. What is it?
It's about thinking about, discussing, and mutually agreeing upon basic ethical guidelines at the beginning of exploring whether to marry one another. Considering the realities of today's popular culture, that's like agreeing to drive safely and observe safety rules of the road that already exist but are widely disregarded.
It is common for people to have varying degrees of discomfort when talking about ethics, especially when exploring the possibilities of marriage with someone. You might think, wait a minute, considering someone as a marriage partner is all about feeling attracted and falling in love with that person. If you are single desiring to marry, you might declare, sure, I am ethical. What else is there to discuss? Either you're ethical or you're not, plain and simple.
That's a similar response from managers and employees when ethics training is scheduled for them in their companies. Sure, I'm ethical. What else is there to discuss? Either you're ethical or you're not. Plain and simple. Well, there's a lot to discuss about ethics, both in the workplace and in our personal lives. Ethics are not as plain and simple as people would like to believe.
Ethics can be confusing because they are, yes, simple, but also hard. On one hand, ethics are simple. They are like the obligations to act in good faith, to be honest, make full disclosures, etc. They are moral principles that guide our lives and determine what is right and wrong, our rights and duties in relation to others.
At the same time, ethics are hard and can be difficult because they must be applied to specific circumstances and relationships. That involves learning and understanding the full scope of ethics and their applications beyond what we feel or desire them to be.
For example, when asking someone to consider you as their lifelong marriage partner, the ethic of full disclosure includes all the facts about yourself that would influence the decision to marry you. That can be hard, especially when it involves disclosing something embarrassing, because it requires moral courage.
Consider what singles are encouraged to believe is true about right and wrong in popular culture. Have you heard the dating advice that you must have your heart broken many times before you know what true love is and who is your soulmate? You could call it advice from the school of hard knocks and broken hearts. Does expecting to have your heart repeatedly broken encourage people to be ethical or unethical in their search for a marriage partner?
Is it a surprise that the Centers for Disease Control report that dating abuse and violence is a public health problem? Unethical practices in modern day dating cause more physical injuries than vehicle accidents.
The behavioral sciences report that adults do very poorly in their decision making when predicting what events would bring them happiness in the future. That includes choosing a marriage partner, winning the lottery, or getting the dream job. Those predictions are called effective forecasting.
Mhm. It is just that adults have difficulty seeing through the lens of the present into the future. Is it a surprise then that poor decisions of adults lead to nearly a 50% divorce rate for first marriages? Do you think that there are times when good, ethical people can and do make terrible, unethical choices in their private and public lives?
In this video and the next two videos, we will help you to think through the meaning and application of basic ethics when in discussions with a potential lifelong marriage partner. We will use stories, scenarios, and questions. This is similar methodology used in graduate schools for the professions to learn best practices and mistakes of others. Do you know of graduate programs that train singles to prepare for marriage and wisely choose a marriage partner?
As humans, we desire to believe that we are good and act ethically and not unethically. Our sense of self-worth is deeply tied to that desire. In the case of singles considering one another as a marriage partner, reviewing ethics might be threatening to what they desire to believe about themselves. They may worry and fear that full disclosures would raise red flags and suspicion about things they are embarrassed about.
Singles fear rejection, scaring away a good one, whom they equate with being their soulmate and perfect for them. Singles may even fear that the other person might hold the same fears about themselves and be scared away. Like in business, when people fear risk of loss, they go into the loss prevention mode and make compromising, unethical decisions such as not acting in good faith and not being fully honest.
That is more likely if they are confused about what it means to be fully ethical in a relationship. Therefore, do you think that at times an individual's perceptions of ethics and their application could be wrong? Sure, I'm ethical. What else is there to talk about?
Marriage partners have mutual duties to be fully ethical, not partially ethical. Do you agree? If so, do singles know what it means to be fully ethical in marriage?
What if singles do not know what it means to be fully ethical in a marriage, but they think they do? Nice, smart, well-educated, good-intentioned singles can be like those in the parable of the 6 blind men and an elephant. The blind men had never encountered an elephant before. By feeling it through touch, they had to imagine and learn what it was like.
And they each disagreed, declaring that it was like a wall, a spear, a tree, a rope. Obviously, the elephant was greater than what they thought it was. Similarly, singles need the humility to recognize there might be a greater good and ethical duties beyond what they think they are. And as needed, they need to exercise the moral courage to become fully ethical.
Mm-hmm. Today, singles search for a marriage partner in a dense fog of confusion. Do you know singles who are like the blind men and the elephant? Or likewise, do you know singles who are flying blind and may not even know what to call what they are doing? Are they just talking or hanging out? Are they in a relationship? What is a relationship? When did it begin? Are they in a process to evaluate one another to marry? What is a process? When did it begin? Yet they may assert, sure, I'm ethical. What else is there to discuss? Either you are ethical or you are not.
Like pilots flying blind in World War II, who relied upon their instrument panel when flying in darkness with no visible reference points. Singles rely upon their feelings to determine what is right or wrong. However, their feelings can be very wrong. Yet they may assert, sure, I'm ethical. What else is there to discuss?
Not only can feelings of fear of loss lead people to act unethically, but also when we do not manage the influences of cynicism. Cynicism is a defensive response to being hurt and disappointed. It is a bundle of emotions and attitudes like distrust and pessimism that others may be motivated to be self-serving and would betray you at a critical point.
Cynicism, fear, and confusion further strengthen the cognitive biases operating in every human being that can trick our minds and distort our ethical senses. Biases like the confirmation, anchor, and beauty biases cause us to misinterpret the objective realities around us. Our feelings can be detached from the realities of marriage and ethics required to form a healthy marriage. If not well managed, they can lead to self-sabotage. Sure, I'm ethical. What else is there to discuss?
Here is another question that we will consider in the next video. Do you know that our society and legal systems recognize marriage as a centrally important special relationship of trust? Marriage is so important that the instant a couple marry as husband and wife, they are mutually imposed with the highest level of ethical and legal duties to one another. Those duties are called fiduciary duties. If you are married, do you know what they are?
They are similar to the ethical duties that other highly trusted people have in our society, like a doctor, lawyer, certified financial planner, a real estate broker, or a clergyman like a pastor or rabbi. Sure, I'm ethical. What else is there to discuss? Do you know of any singles who have foresight and care enough to form a marriage that serves as the best personal, ethical example they can for their future children about how to marry?
Mm-hmm. You probably know smart, thoughtful, decent single adults who desire to marry, and they content they know what their moral obligations are and to whom they are due when exploring the possibility of marriage with a potential mate. They think, sure, I'm ethical. What else is there to talk about?
Imagine that one of them is your friend who confides that he and an unmarried woman had agreed to consider one another as potential marriage partners. Would you be surprised if he then said he would wait until she really liked him, had a strong emotional attachment with him, before disclosing his personal issues, which included his history of pornography use and trust issues? Your friend explained that she would then unlikely reject him and appreciate him for who he was. Would that be ethical?
Additionally, he tells you that he does not intend to disclose his personal issues to her parents or his parents because he has no obligation to them. Would that be ethical? Can you imagine how cynicism, fear, and confusion might have led your friend to those decisions?
What if your friend was a doctor or a lawyer or a certified financial planner or a real estate broker or a pastor or rabbi? Should he know better? Would you remain silent? Might you have considered advising him to be fully honest with her and her parents, but anticipated him responding with, you have your ethics and way of forming a marriage, and I have mine. Everyone has their own truth.
Mm-hmm. Or might you say something like, I just want you to be happy. If the woman or her parents contact me as a reference, I will assure them that you are totally reliable and honest and have an especially trusting relationship with your parents. Would that be ethical?
We will continue in the next video to discuss the ethics in a relationship of trust, marriage, which are like basic rules for safe driving. Then we will discuss 7 scenarios and questions to help you think through the meaning and application of basic ethics when in discussions with a potential lifelong marriage partner. See you next time.